How to break through in closed positions in chess. I got these two players, Amos Byrne, who was playing the white pieces, going against Cairo. His first name is Horacio Cairo, and this game was back in 1898. Let's get started. Back in the 1800s, there were some players that still start with the move d4. After d4, we got f5 playing the Dutch defense, and then we got not knight c3, silly me. We got the move c4, e6, and then we got the moves knight c3, knight f6, and let's battle. Let's attack in the center, let's get it. After knight to f6, then the move started with e3, bishop to b4, bishop to d2 to disconnect the pin that was going on here with this knight on c3. And so what happened was Black decided to castle the king, playing good chess, developing moves, right? Bishop d3, bishop takes on c3, weird, but is a variation. Bishop takes on c3 again. Then Black decided to, hey, I'm gonna fianchetto this bishop on the c8 square, put it on b7, take care of all these light squares. I'm mostly attacking these two squares, and I'm gonna do a good job, especially with this bishop on d3. I can target this g2 pawn. And so what happened was, after knight went to e2, bishop to b7, Amos was thinking further ahead, and he was like, I still got the move f3. Because if you remember, we put the knight on e2, not f3. So putting the knight on e2, I have to move f3. That gives me a lot more flexibility in this chess position, like doing moves like e4, d5, b3, etc. And probably, maybe in the future, bringing this knight to f4 or g3. Who knows? Let's just play the moves. After f3, we got knight c6, castle kingside. Castle kingside, we're bringing a knight to e7, probably planning on pushing one of these pawns as the black pieces. And then after queen c2, we got the move d5. That knight is helping out a lot. And that bishop too. They got like a stone wall type of structure going on here. So after, oh crap, I got my computer, I restarted the whole position on my computer. But after the move d5, b3, protecting the c4 pawn, b3, queen d7, knight g3. Then Black decided to play the move h5, pushing up Hector, and probably planning on doing the move h4, kicking his knight somewhere else, and maybe having a start of an attack on the king side of the board. After h5, I was like, I'm just going to do bishop b2. A small inaccuracy, but this game was pretty balanced. After bishop b2, Black was like, I'm going to push up Adam too. I pushed up Adam, I pushed up Hector. What you going to do about it? Well, he said, I'm just going to do a3 after this. After a3, if you do a4 now, I'm just going to push up b4. And so after the move a3 was played, we got b6. Mistake, inaccuracy. White has a better position because of this pawn break e4 that can happen at any moment, and with better pieces like these two bishops, the two bishop advantage is definitely better than two knight advantage, especially once the game opens up a lot more. So after b6, knight e2, then the move king g7 was played. It seemed like Black didn't know exactly what to do in this position, but if you was thinking about a plan of what to do, what would you think of? We got this little zigzag position with our pawns here. So if the position opened up in the center, then definitely there's going to be problems with that, especially with this king being vulnerable, and there's no coordination. Maybe c5 being pushed, but the pawns look silly all above the 6th rank all above the 7th rank right now. The only pawn that's on the 7th rank is the c7 pawn. So hey, let's see what happens here. After king to g7, we got rook a to c1, and then c6. After c6, we have the famous move, the pawn break that we was looking for, e4. And we got ready with e4 with the f3 pawn, the bishop and queen targeting the e4 support. So if all captures happens, and after the c6 move, that made e4 even more possible, yeah, we should be in good straits if that many captures happen with this e6 weakness on the board. So after rook a to e8, pretty much black is trying to keep the position closed since he have two knights and he has an advantage with the two knights if the position is closed, not open. And so white did the move rook c to e1, bishop c8, then the move knight f4 was played. Like I said before, since the knight hopped to e2 instead of f3, we got a little bit more options for this knight to hop into. And so the knight hopped into the f4 square, maybe potentially hitting the e6 pawn and g6 pawn. There's probably going to be some tactics pretty soon in the near future. Black in this position decided to do knight to g8. You already know when your opponent starts doing backwards moves, you should have a specific advantage. They're probably on the defensive and you should be trying to find out, okay, what's my forcing moves? If I do that capture, can I have more of an advantage than I do now since my opponent is doing passive moves and I'm still doing aggressive moves? So Amos did E takes on d5, trying to open up the position. After E takes on e5, then we got the two moves right here. Rook e5, queen f7. No captures can be made or that will open up the position. If this rook took this rook, this pawn will take this rook back and maybe that pawn will go up. Don't forget about this bishop on the b2 square. If that bishop opens up, it's already x-raying the king. There's just these three pieces, these three annoying pieces that's in the way. And so after queen f7, double up the rooks, of course, king h7, and hey, there's not a lot that black can do, especially with this dumb bishop, this inactive bishop. All the pawns that's on light squares is hindering this bishop from doing its job. And so now we have the advantage to take care of our opponent, and that's why Amos was like, okay, I can put this knight right here to h3, thread at g5, fork on the queen and king. That backward move is successful. This backward move is garbage. Okay, after that, the queen moved to b7, wasn't blocking the knight from still going to the g5 square. There's still better squares for the white pieces to go to. After knight g5, king g7, then C takes on d5, still putting the pressure on the black position, overwhelming your opponent. At this position right now, the computer is showing a 7-point advantage for white. Even though nobody's up in material, nothing, it's the same pawn structure, it's the same type of development. It's just that white piece, I can't say it. The white pieces look better and the black pieces look discoordinated right now. After C takes on d5, then black did C takes on d5, and after that move we have bishop to b5 attacking a rook. The rook moved up in one square to e7, then some trouble started happening after the move queen e2. And yes, I said some trouble started happening, even though black has been in trouble since the move e4 was played. That big pawn break opened up the position for us to pretty much gain a lot of space, a lot of development, a lot of time, and eventually we're going to have a better pawn structure because after the move queen to e2, rook was forced to capture on e5, d takes on e5. Now this bishop is going to be taking care of this long diagonal, especially once his knight moves, which the knight does move to the e8 square. d6, checking the king, knight g to f6, and you know what happens? After you have a passed pawn, you already know what the plan should be, promoting that passed pawn. And e7 was played, attacking the rook, rook g8, and just look at this position right now. We have so many squares to go to. So many of our pieces are attacking their pieces. Their pieces are disorganized right now. This bishop is still a bad bishop because all of these pawns are on light squares. These pawns should not have been pushed at all. And so now we can just do the final blow. Bishop takes on e8. Rook takes on e8. Knight to e6, checking the king. the king has to move to g8. I mean, bishop can take the knight, but queen takes, right? Queen takes. Both pieces are attacking this knight. This knight is pinned by this bishop, so there's nothing good coming out of it. After king moves up, bishop to f6 was done. That capture didn't have to that capture didn't have to happen to black. And so after the move queen c6, attacking the knight, bishop g5, queen d6, queen e5, white is like, okay, I can just trade pieces down. Since this position isn't going to get any better for you, it's just going to get worse as we trade pieces. And your pieces are garbage right now. And not only your pieces are garbage, but you're down in material. Why are you still even playing this? Like, it's insane that Carol's like, I can probably still draw this. So after queen to e5, queen takes on e5, rook takes on e5, bishop takes on e6, rook. Like, crap, the computer went all the way back. I hate when it does that. Come on now, let's get it back. I'm going really fast. Rook takes on e6, attacking the 2 pawns, and that passed pawn isn't going anywhere. That bishop is protecting that passed pawn on the e7 square. b5 was played. We took the top g. Rook takes on g6. King f7. And then this rook just goes munching on all of black's pawns. And yes, in this position, Caro decided to resign from Burns Pain. His last name is Byrne. You're going against somebody named Byrne. Like, come on now, just give up. So in this position, we learned how to break through in a closed position. Just looking at your pawn breaks. Moves like e4 in that position, f3, e4 was great. And then that c4 move was great too, because we needed that c takes on d5 capture. If you remember, just go back. And so you can look back in this game and see, oh snap, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's where my pieces are supposed to be at. All right? Continue on playing closed positions and not thinking that it's hard, and play like a grandmaster.